BLUF Gaming here with a quick tutorial on how to start with the respawn ship and survive. So let's do a fresh start here. Press V for Victor for an external view because I prefer it that way. Scroll wheel and Alt to zoom out a bit. We're going to point away from the planet and go full blast. Hold down Alt and move your mouse to make sure that you have a normal trajectory directly away from the planet. Once you've done that, what we want to do is get up to full speed and then once we are at full speed, this is a little bit tricky, we're going to turn our dampeners off and then we're going to hit K, go down to our backwards engines using shift click, highlight them both, make a group, save it, get out, go back to full speed. Once we hit 100 meters per second, we're going to hit G, go to groups, take this group, put it in the toolbar, toggle on off, close the menu, back to full speed again, toggle those front engines off, and then turn your dampeners back on. You saw when I turned those dampeners back on, we had some upward thrust or downward thrust. That's because the gravity is pulling us just very slightly off course. Now, once we have this set up, these front engines are turned off, so they're no longer slowing us down even though our dampeners are turned on and we're not applying thrust. You want to pulse back and forth between, say, around 90 meters per second and 100 meters per second. And we're waiting for our P gravity to reduce down to 0. Okay, as you can see, our P gravity has reduced down to 0.06. Obviously next it will go to 0.05. That is actually the lowest gravity you'll ever experience in this game. After 0.05 it just goes down to 0. If you're escaping Earth, as we are now, that's going to happen at around 42,000 meters, just shy of 42 kilometers is actually where it happens. And we should be nearing that any second now. There we go, 0 gravity. Now that we're in 0 gravity, it's a lot safer to leave your dampeners off and turn those reverse engines back on. From this point, what you want to do are you want to find some asteroids that are outside of the gravity well. As you can see, there's some asteroids closer down there. You don't want to go to those because you'll just get dragged right back into gravity. So let's turn the dampeners on because we're changing course and adjust our velocity so that we are headed towards that donut-shaped asteroid over there. If you can point to your target and press forward on your thrust and there are no side thrusters burning, that lets you know that you're already headed in that direction. But because the side thrusters are still burning, I'm going to adjust a bit this way and see if that's helped at all. We can do that a few times. And you see our side thruster isn't burning as much. We have a new one going. We maybe over adjusted a bit. So, we're headed generally in that direction now, so I can turn the dampeners off. But be sure whenever you get close, you turn them back on, because in space, you have to use force to slow yourself back down. There are no brakes, there are only engines. So be sure you don't crash into things. I usually like to go maybe around 30 meters per second whenever I'm getting close to an asteroid, because that usually gives you enough time to stop in the spawn ship. Once you get to these asteroids or close to these asteroids, you'll need to stop your ship and you need to actually get out of your ship and use your drill in your hand to detect ore. If you ever need oxygen, just come to your ship, any of the devices that are connected, any of these back devices here, press F, make sure that it's showing all connected inventory, and you can grab an oxygen bottle and a hydrogen bottle to keep your suit filled up. If these run low, just put them back in. The ice will be used to fill them, and then you can go right back here. You can't refill your oxygen or hydrogen using the medical bay on a respawn ship because it's not connected to the conveyor system. However, it will recharge the energy or your health. You need to leave your ship and make sure your jetpack is turned on with X. Then when you fly close to an asteroid, it will show you, using your drill, it will show you what ores are nearby. So there's ice inside of this rock, which we will need for oxygen. Looks like over here we're going to find some gold or nickel. Let's see, there's gold. And also there's silicon and iron. The main two things we're looking for right off the bat with a space start are uranium and ice. Your ship is very low on fuel right now. I don't even see where my ship is, but it's very low on fuel right now. And you need uranium in order to fix that problem. Also, ice is what you need to stay alive, because without ice you can't make more oxygen or hydrogen to get around. So your first priority when doing a space start is to find ice and find uranium. Go around from asteroid to asteroid until you've done so, and if you're running low on power in your ship, very low on power in your ship, just fly around using your jetpack from asteroid to asteroid. Just be sure to mark a GPS marker so that you can find your ship afterward. Once you've found iron and uranium, look for all the other resources as well. You want to find iron, uranium, nickel, silicon, gold, silver, magnesium, and platinum. I think ice, and that may be everything. Mark the location of all these using your GPS system here, and that way you can always go back and find where those were after you've found them and moved away. After that's done, you should be in good position to start your own base, start building your own ships, and those are things I'll cover in a later tutorial. If you want to see more detail in how I escaped and how I go around and mark all these with GPS markers, just stick around and watch the rest of this tutorial. Thanks for sticking around. If you're new to BLUF Gaming, BLUF stands for bottom line up front. I get all the important parts of the tutorial and I put it right at the beginning of the video before the intro or anything else, so you can get what you need and get back to your game as soon as possible. If you want to see a more detailed explanation, you just stick around to this place right here where we are now, and I'll cover it in a lot more detail. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. What I'm going to do is start a new game, but I'm going to go over to Custom and Star System and Survival, because that will give us the type of start we normally see in an online server. We're going to do a respawn ship, and the respawn ship I think confuses some new players, because when you start with the respawn ship you are within the gravity well of a planet, and it might make you think you're supposed to use that ship to land on the planet, but you're not. You're definitely not. This is not a gravity worthy ship. This ship should be taken directly into space, and that's what we're going to do. So first thing we're going to do is press V as in Victor, so that I can get an exterior view and line it up a bit. And we want to point away from the planet and go full blast forward. So if you want to make sure that you're getting the best direction away, what you want to do is use your Alt key, hold it down, and then move your mouse around to make sure that you're pointed directly away from the planet. Now I'm going to accelerate up to full speed, which is 100 meters per second in most games and servers. And then I'm going to, so I don't have to constantly burn like this, what I want to do is to pulse the engines. So I get down maybe around 80 and I go back up to 100 again. That way I'm not just burning fuel by staying at my top speed and just pushing it anyway. Now as soon as I let go of W, my reverse engines kick on, so that they cause me to slow down even faster. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly form a group with them. Well, I'm going to turn my dampeners off by pressing Z, and I'm going to quickly Press K, go down and find those 2 thrusters and make a quick group exit and try to get back up to full speed. Okay, now I'm going to press G, go to my groups. I can rename this group later, but I'm going to place it here for toggle on and off. I'm going to turn those off, turn my dampeners back on, and then get back up to full speed. Now you may have seen when I turned the dampeners back on that my upward thrusters engaged just a bit. That's because if you're not perfectly aligned away from the planet, and not only your ship aligned but your velocity as well, then the gravity is going to start to knock you off of a direct course, and you may not be getting the full amount of your speed away from the planet. That's your speedometer showing. So now that I've turned my my reverse thrusters off, you can see I'll go up to full speed and they're no longer firing. They're not going to stop me, or they're not going to hasten my deceleration. So now it's taking a good bit longer for me to slow down, and I'm going to go down to around 80 meters per second or so before accelerating back up to 100, and I will repeat that for a while. Now what we're looking for is, you see we're at 32,000 meters. That's our altitude over the planet right now. And if you look in the bottom right next to my toolbar, where you see P gravity 0.09, that's the planet gravity. We want that to be 0. If we were on Earth, that would be 1 for 1G. Mars has 0.9 and the alien planet has 1.1. But when we're escaping, we want 0. So we're going to keep doing this until that drops to 0. When you're escaping Earth, that happens around 42 kilometers. So we're not that far off. Once we get 42 kilometers out, I will turn those forward. Well, once we get 42 kilometers out, I'll turn those forward thrusters back on, because then turning our dampeners off isn't as troublesome. If this is your first tutorial, or you're very new to the game, and you're curious what the dampeners do, they try, if your dampeners are on, they will tell all of your engines to try to stop your ship if you're not engaging any of the engines. So as long as you're not pressing WASD, space, or control, or C, as long as you're not pressing one of those, if your dampeners are on, your engines are going to try to stop you. That's very useful at some times, like when you're close to an asteroid, but it's also very troublesome at other times. For instance, whenever you're coasting through space and you want to keep coasting. As you can see, it no longer shows my altitude, and my gravity is at 0. There's no need to show altitude once I'm at 0 gravity. And as I said, I'm going to turn my dampeners off, but I'm going to turn my engines, the reverse engines, back on. Now, I'll go ahead and turn my dampeners on so we can stop, and I'll show you the inside of the ship a bit so you know what you need to do to survive until we find the materials that we need. So with my dampeners on, you see that I'm quickly slowing down. I'm still traveling in the direction that I'm facing. If I wanted to slow down faster, I could spin around and let 4 engines do the job instead of 2. Okay, so we're stopped now. I'm going to press F to get out of my seat right here. And you see my oxygen has dropped to 78%. That's the oxygen in my suit. You can increase your oxygen in your suit by using your medical bay, only if your medical bay is connected to some source of oxygen. So if you're in the planetary lander, when you use this medical bay, your oxygen and your hydrogen levels will increase, but it's not increasing here. That's because there's no conveyor system connecting us to the oxygen generator. This ship does have an oxygen generator though. So what we're going to have to do to make sure that we keep plenty of oxygen in our system is go to a container or assembler, something we can interact with, press F. We want to look at all of the connected inventories. And if we come down here to our O2H2 generator, you see there are oxygen bottles and hydrogen bottles. Let's go ahead and put one of each into our inventory. And whenever our oxygen level in the bottom left gets down to a critical amount, it will automatically refill using oxygen from the bottle in our personal inventory. That lets you refuel or to refill a few times before that bottle is empty. And all you have to do to refill it is it will show that it has a lower percentage once it's been used. Just put it back in your oxygen generator and the generator will fill it up using some of this ice here. So you see we have 2,000 ice. That should last us a good while, but it's not a comfortable amount that we can just go about and explore thoughtlessly with. So the other resource we're particularly low on, and you can't see it because of my handsome mug in the bottom right, but right now the ship is saying it has 15 hours of fuel remaining. Now if I fire my forward engines right now, that goes down to 7 minutes. So we have 7 minutes of thrust right now. That's not very many minutes. So what we need to do is look around and try to spy an asteroid. And we're going to be searching in the beginning in space. We're looking for two things early on: uranium and ice. Uranium is the most important right off the bat. And then ice is, hopefully we find both of them on the same one, but ice comes right after. Once we've gotten a decent harvest of both of those, then we can pay attention to things like iron and cobalt, all the things we'll need to build. Now there were some asteroids right over there, but somehow these asteroids are able to stay aloft even though they're in a gravity well. So we're going to travel away a little bit, and as we travel away, we're going to look around and hopefully spot some asteroids that are further away from the planet. Almost every asteroid you find will have iron on it. They generally have 2 resources, sometimes 3 or 4, but I don't recall ever finding an asteroid with more than 4. 2 is usually the fewest number of resources you will find, although if there are some small ancillary asteroids hovering on other asteroids, those might only have a single resource. Ah, there's one. Alright, so now I'm going to point my ship toward that asteroid, not directly at it because I don't want to run into it. I'm going to start my acceleration because I'm still traveling in the direction I was originally traveling, and I'm going to turn on my dampeners. See, those dampeners are firing to the left because it's trying to stop my velocity in that direction. I can counteract it a bit using my main thrusters, like so. And then now when I point here, you see it's the other one. It's the right hand, or the starboard side thruster that's firing. So now you see we don't have any of the left, right, top, or down thrusters firing, so we can turn our dampeners off, and now we can just coast toward that asteroid without using any power from the engines. I have an unknown signal showing indicator over on the right. You'll get those from time to time. Those are worth investigating once you have plenty of power and plenty of ice. So I'm going to delete that now. They don't last terribly long. I think they last at most 15 minutes. So I don't expect we'd have time to investigate before we get both ice and uranium. The planetary lander has an ore detector, but the respawn ship doesn't. It doesn't mean we can't detect ore, it just means we have to do it ourselves. Alright, we're getting pretty close. I just hit Z to turn my dampeners back on. So we're going to be slowing down, and be sure not to crash into the asteroids. That the asteroids win in those situations. And now that I got down to a pretty safe speed, I turn my dampeners back off so I can coast a bit. And that black dot right there, I'm hoping is uranium. Uranium very frequently is on the exterior of asteroids.
Ship fuel low.
Some resources like iron, for instance, tend to be more focused on the interior of asteroids.
Low.
But to find out, we're going to have to go out of the ship itself on our own. So I hit F to get out of the cockpit, and we have a door right here. Now right now when you're walking around, if you see on the left, we have a J, X, O, and L indicator. J is for the helmet. Keep that on in space. O is for broadcast. Let's turn that off because we don't want everybody knowing where we are. You can't turn O off while you are in the cockpit, so as soon as you get out is a good time to do it. L is your flashlight. You can leave that on so long as you're close to a power source. See how it's in the bottom left, it says 99% power? That's our suit power, and that's something this medical bay can help us with. It doesn't have to be connected to an oxygen generator. Now lastly, there's no indicator for it, but we are using our mag boots. They're keeping us connected, and as soon as we go out, you see we just sort of float. X turned on automatically because that's our jetpack. It detected that our mag boots were not engaged, and it turned on our jetpack. So now we can ourselves move around, and we also have dampeners for our jetpack. This is using hydrogen to move us around, and so our hydrogen H2 level in the bottom left will start to go down. To detect ores while you're out in your suit, you need to have your drill out, and you'll see as we fly over here, we should get indicators of the ores that are nearby. See, it's saying that's iron. There's iron nearby. That's what this reddish color material is. There's something blue over here. Maybe it's cobalt or ice. Let's take a look. That's cobalt. And we're going to fly around this asteroid and hopefully find either ice or uranium. When I was in the ship over here, I thought I saw a black dot on the exterior of the asteroid. So let me go back here, get that perspective from the ship again. And I'm thinking now that the black dots were just shadows. So let's fly around a little bit and see what we can locate. You can't always see what is available in an asteroid on the surface. So we have nickel there, iron, cobalt, and nickel. Sometimes it's beneath the surface. It's very rare that you have more than 3 resources. If you have 4, it's probably going to be that ice is one of them. So at this point I'm mainly just looking for ice. I don't think I'm going to find uranium. And I haven't seen any yet. So what I'm going to do is grab just a little bit of each in case I need to make some sort of emergency repair. When you're using a drill, left click is to drill, and then right click is to destroy. So if I use right click, say on this stone, we won't generate any rocks. There'll be little pebbles like that, but you can't actually interact with them. Now you see here I'm detecting some silver as well, so there are 4 resources on this asteroid. So let me grab some of this nickel. I'm going to left click, and you see it's created some rocks that we can actually pick up. Above my toolbar, can't interact with those. Above my toolbar you see there's a blue line going from left to right. That's showing my encumbrance, how much weight I have. Alright, next let's get some of this iron and cobalt. Iron is the resource you'll use the most of in the game. That's how you build all your blocks and practically everything in the game, I believe. I don't know if there's anything that doesn't use iron. Almost every block can be placed in the game using either steel plates or interior plates, and both of those are made from iron. So if there are any things that are made from stuff other than iron, they are outside of the norm. Okay, let's grab some cobalt now, and maybe I'll go back and get some silver as well. What's this? This actually looks a bit like ice. It is ice. Good. So we can grab some ice to make sure that we have plenty of oxygen available. We were very fortuitous on this asteroid. There are a lot of materials available here. Let's see. Got about 1,500 ice. That should be enough for now. And I think the only other thing on this... Oh yeah, there was cobalt and silver. I'll grab a bit of that if I can find it again. Cobalt isn't immediately important, so maybe I won't waste my time. Is this it right here? That's just rock with a shadow on it. Cobalt is very blue. I don't know why I'm trying to poke at that. Okay, so hey, that looks like cobalt, doesn't it? These extra rocks that don't actually allow you to interact with them can be kind of annoying. But I don't need a whole lot of cobalt right now. I don't know if I'm going to need any of it for a while, actually. The only other thing on this asteroid is silver, and I believe that was by the nickel. I don't remember where the nickel was, and I'm really more concerned about finding uranium right now. So I'm going to find my ship. There it is. Board this, and we're going to put it all into the ship and then go off and search for some uranium, which we desperately need right now. Looks like I'm on the wrong side of the ship. There's the door. Okay, and once I'm close to something metal, actually it doesn't have to be anything metal. Once you're close to a surface, you can press X and your mag boots will re-engage again. So almost all of the components in the ship are connected. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all of my ores in here, and I will order them so that the most important ones get refined first, and I will follow that up. I don't think it'll let me place the ice in here, but because they're connected, I can press here, I can find the O2 generator, and I can add that ice to it. So we have even more oxygen reserves now. You see my oxygen bottle has reduced some. If I put that in there, it will refill. Okay, now we actually don't need to shut the door. This isn't an oxygenated ship. And before we leave, just in case we settle close to here, let's open our menu, go to the GPS tab, and from our current position, let's mark this. It had iron, uranium, cobalt, silver, and ice. There's not enough room for you to type out all the names if you get things like magnesium and such in there. And you might wonder why I don't just use the periodic table of element abbreviations right there. Well, that's because I'm forgetful. I have forgotten, because it's been so long since I took chemistry, I have forgotten magnesium. Maybe somebody in the comments can tell me. As you all probably know, and I have forgotten, magnesium, its abbreviation starts with an M, but there's this pesky other element out there called manganese, and I always get their abbreviations mixed up. I was about to fly off, and I decided to come take a look at this very small asteroid, and lo and behold, there's uranium here. So we've kind of hit the jackpot with the starting location. It's not perfect because this is a pretty small uranium deposit, but our very first stop we found both of the two things we need to survive. So what I'm going to do is mine a little bit of uranium here, and I never know which of those I can interact with or not. So I'm just going to mine quite a bit, press F really fast, and hope that I catch all the important pieces. That one looks important. Okay, I'm going to do that again. I hate the idea of some valuable uranium flying away and me not getting it. One way to avoid having all of the important stuff fly away is to have a drill mounted on your ship, but we don't have the materials to make one yet. So, one more time, I guess. And hopefully I'm getting like a bit of a hole in here so that most of the uranium flying away stays in front of me. My body will block it, I hope. Okay, that's enough for now, and before I fly away, let me mark this uranium. Looks like there's uranium and iron here. And you know what? There was not uranium at that old one. Why did I write uranium there? There was iron, cobalt, nickel, silver, and ice. Alright, so now we go back to our ship. Once I hit max speed, I can turn my dampeners off and I don't have to push anymore. And your suit can travel a little bit faster than a ship. You see I'm going 110 meters per second. It can also decelerate incredibly fast. So you're less worried about needing to have extra time to slow down. Alright, back in the ship we go. Disengage our boots. And we put the uranium in. And it's a good thing we found it because this refinery would have been eating our power. Now this uranium, it's going to make some uranium ingots down here. And you see it instantly vanishes as soon as it gets made. That's because it's being drawn into our small reactor. See, it's growing now. So we'll be getting more power. You can't see it, but right now I'm showing 2 hours power. It used to be that when we were idling we were showing only 1, I believe. No, it was 13. But that's going to increase because it's slow right now because the refinery's running. Let's see if I turn the refinery off. And I'm showing 13 hours. So even though we've spent some fuel, we're back up to the amount of power we had before. Other resources you want to search for are, we have silver already, so you need its partner in crime, gold. We also need to find silicon and magnesium. Those are very important. And I believe we found everything else except for platinum. Because we've chosen to start in space, platinum is something we can find. You cannot find that on planets, it's only in space and on moons. So what I recommend doing from this point is flying around to the other asteroids. You see there are 2 more in the distance there. You can use your ship to go there, or you can use your suit to go there. If you're running very low on power in your ship, it may be wise to turn off everything, such as your engines and your refinery and all that. Turn off everything either individually, or if you want, you can press Y, and that shuts down the entire ship. That way you only have to turn it back on when you're coming to get oxygen or to refill your energy. If you leave your ship, be sure to set a GPS coordinate where your ship is, and make sure that your ship is not moving when you do so. And then you can fly to those other asteroids in your spacesuit if you need to. But we have enough power that we could go using the ship to these other asteroids, and we want to go around until we have found all of the resources: iron, nickel, cobalt, silver, gold, silicon, and platinum, and uranium. Once you've found all of them and you have set GPS coordinates for all of them, then you can decide where you want to make a base. Or if you want to make a base at all. But at least then you'll have all the materials you need to make whatever it is you're building. A lot of these asteroids have big open areas inside of them. This one had a bit of an open area over there. So a lot of people, for protection and for stealth reasons, they will choose to make their first base inside one of these asteroids. It's a perfectly fine way to do things, and usually it means you have basically unlimited iron for your initial building. So choosing an asteroid like that has both iron and uranium nearby, and ice as well, that can be very nice. Or if you just want to make an open space space station, you can do that as well. Some people just like to coast around in ships. You can start out with a capital ship and do that. However, a lot of online servers will delete these ships over time. Let's see if I can get it to show the, see there, the message temporary ship, it will be removed. Different servers have different rules on what causes these ships to be removed. So I don't want to tell you that you can do this or that and ensure that your ship won't be removed, because as soon as I tell you that, some other server is going to have its own rules and you're going to lose it. So check to see what your server rules are, and make sure that either this ship complies with them, or that you build a new ship that does comply, and you can scrap this ship for all the materials you need to rebuild another one just like it. Already our idle power has gone from 2 hours to 4 hours, so you can see that the refinery is doing its job. If we look at the inventory in the ship, see we've already doubled the amount of uranium ingots in our small reactor, and there's still plenty of uranium to go. So that's all I have right now for a space start. We covered how to escape gravity in the respawn ship. Where is it funny? Yeah, we covered how to escape the gravity from this planet here, how to find ores, and GPS mark all the different ores that we'll need, and hopefully a little about selection of your first base. So if you have any other topics you want me to cover, just let me know. I'll be following this up with an alien planet landing and site selection tutorial, and then we can finally move on from the very basics of your initial start on to base building and ship building. Thanks for watching BLUF Gaming. If you want to like, comment, or subscribe, I'd welcome it. Hope to see you next time. Thanks for watching.